Hello there, welcome. My name is Stacie, and I'm super excited to share this little series with you. We're going to talk about yoga and anxiety. Now, we all know that yoga has some great physical benefits, right? Helps with flexibility, helps with range of motion, helps us stretch, and all the things. But yoga also has this amazing benefit of helping us to learn ways to calm our mind, especially when we're experiencing intermittent anxiety, or maybe anxiety is something that you struggle with day to day. So, I'm going to give you five simple postures, poses, shapes, whatever you like to call them, that will really just bring an awareness to you that you can do this before you go to work, before you go to bed, midday, wherever you can find space to just take 5 to 10 minutes, come into these five simple poses. Each pose I recommend staying in for 5 to 6 breaths. You may find that one of them you want to stay 10, 15 breaths. There's no wrong way to practice this. There's just nothing that you can do to mess this up. Tuning into your body, listening to your body. These are very straightforward, very simple poses most people can do easily. I do have a yoga block with me, simply to help support my body because I'm still struggling with that darn little hip of mine. So the first pose that we're going to come to is a forward fold. Now, you can be sitting cross-legged and folding this way. You can be sitting legs out and folding this way. Or you can be one of each, like me. This leg wants to be straight. This leg likes to be bent. It doesn't matter. Just listen to your body. Now, I have a yoga block because I'm going to perhaps be using this for a pose in a couple poses down the road, but I might also want it for my forward fold. So I'm going to keep it handy. So for a forward fold, we're thinking about rounding over. And I like to picture in my mind that beautiful duck on the water where the water just rolls down the back. You to think the thoughts in your head rolling down your back. So, to come into forward fold in a seated position on the floor, simply spill the body over. Hands can be on the floor. You can walk them forward. The idea in the spilling is that we are rounding the spine, taking the eyes to the heart, settling here. There's not a lot of tension. I'm not gripping to get deeper into the pose. I'm not forcing my body to flatten like a pancake on the floor. By the way, if you ever are able to flatten your belly on the floor in a forward fold, nothing happens. Nothing falls from the sky. Simply fold your body over your legs. Take your eyes to your heart. Imagine the water rolling down your back. And as we're here for just a couple breaths, you can feel the head, which weighs quite a bit for the average adult, starts to act like this gravity pull, just lengthening the spine. Head becomes heavy. With our spine in this rounded shape, we are supporting the adrenal organs back there. They're located right next to the kidney. And the adrenals is what produces cortisol. And when we are flying into anxious thoughts all the time, our cortisol is typically very high. Now, the longer cortisol is high, the more that can lead to just chronic high cortisol symptoms where we're a little bit edgy or a lot of it edgy. We can just live in sort of this constant fight or flight, which in turn then becomes a lot of thoughts, a lot of worries, a lot of internal narrative, internal dialogue, a lot of what if, a lot of future stuff. And so we want to soothe those adrenals. And by rounding the spine, we're sending a signal to the adrenals that we're calm, that we're grounded, we're safe, we're connected, looking within, quieting the mind. Anytime the head hangs down, gives a chance for the brain to become a little quieter. And so we want those type shapes when we're looking at dealing with anxiety or anxious feelings. So forward fold is the first pose. The next one would be legs up the wall. Now you can certainly do legs up a chair, laying on your back, propping your legs up onto the edge of your bed or the sofa or an armchair or even a metal chair. But I want to show you how to do legs up the wall. So you're going to get your buns as close to the wall as you can. Shimmy those hips over there. And then you'll lay down on your back. and then spin the cheeks to the wall. Legs are going to rest against the wall. Feet are going to be just right there on the wall. And then open your arms like a letter T, palm face up. And you immediately feel this beautiful sensation through your body. If you have a vocation or a job that requires standing, busyness, maybe you work in a restaurant, grocery store, a hospital, and there's a lot of standing and walking and moving, this is essential for you to quiet down at the beginning of a shift, at the end of a shift. This helps with swollen feet, swollen legs, but it also really helps the nervous system. By having the legs high, we are essentially draining and returning all of the energy that we expelled through the day back into the body so that we can be at ease. I mean, that is the ultimate goal, right? To be at ease, which is the opposite of anxious, to be at ease. And this one pose is the most at ease you will probably ever be in a yoga class or in a personal practice at home. This legs up is the ultimate at ease. Again, 5 to 6 breaths, 10 to 15, 20, if it feels amazing. Listen to your body. There's no rules to this. To get out of legs up the wall, simply bend the knees, shimmy the hips, roll onto one side, and push yourself up. Okay, we want to transition out of each pose methodically and slow. We don't want to just fly to the next one, because every time we fly, that ramps up our inner state of being. We want to keep that slow process. The next pose is cat and cow. And the reason why I believe cat and cow to be of such great benefit for anxiety is when you think about an infant that's crying, the caregiver rocks the infant. She's not rocking it quickly, rocking it slowly. Okay, finding that rhythmic motion. Think of the ocean rolling in, rolling out. There's this rhythmic nature to the water in a lake lapping up against the shore. There's rhythm. And so cat and cow done slow and methodic and rhythmic can be a great anxiety reducer, because we're connected to the breath, we're connected to the sensation that's slow. And what we want to do is counter the mad thoughts that are going on that are often very fast and very flooded to a more rhythmic and slow, beautiful, rocking, water lapping kind of sensation. Leo the cat came to play. All right, so we're going to come to cat and cow on a floor. Hands are going to be right under the shoulders, knees are going to be right under the hips. First one we're going to do is cat pose. Push against the floor, pull the belly in, tuck the chin, round the spine, look at your heart, and just stay here. Just stay here. Again, head's hanging. That's giving the message to the brain to be still, to be quiet, to be calm. Leo's tickling me through cat and cow. All right, here we go. Let your belly drop. Draw a line with your nose up and let the belly hang. We're going to find our breath here. Take a breath and then round the spine. Slow. Find your own rhythm. Inhale to drop your belly, lift your nose. Exhale to round your spine. Tuck your chin, look at your heart. Inhale back to cow. Exhale to round. Now think about the water, think about the shore, think about the ocean coming in and coming out. Again, 5 to 6 breaths is all it takes to kind of shore us back into that place of calm. So cat and cow, one of my favorites. Now in a more vinyasa type class where we're moving faster, that can be a little bit ramping up. We want to build that heat in the body and build that energy. But for this particular purpose, we want to be slow and rhythmic. All right, let's come to child's pose. Here's where I'm going to use my block. because I'm not able to come into a traditional child's pose easily anymore, I want to have tools nearby. Now, I prefer to do child's pose in a chair, so be sure to watch the video that's linked below that's going to go through the same 5 poses from a seated position using a chair, 2 of them. So I'm going to come to child's pose. Many people like to have their knees together in child's pose to create this tight package, right? This little ball. I like to have my knees a little bit wider to create the space for my belly to just sink and my heart to get close to the earth. Play around with it, figure out which feels best for you, and it can vary day to day. You might find sometimes you want to have that safety and security of just being in a tiny little ball. And other times you want to have maybe the vulnerability to just let it all flop out, let the heart find Mother Earth and kind of get some of that good grounding energy from that. Whatever pose you decide, whichever shape you decide to create in child's pose with your legs, be sure that your forehead has a place to land. I'm going to use a block. You can also use stacked fists, one on top of the other, pressing here. Now, what happens is we put pressure on the space between the brows, can be also referred to as the third eye or the sixth chakra. We are quieting down the thinking mind and activating the knowing mind. Now, the knowing mind is that internal compass that we all have. The knowing that we are safe, the knowing that we are calm, the knowing that we are enough. The thinking mind wants to fill our head with all the crazy thoughts that make the anxiety come up. Now, when we press our forehead into something in child's pose, we are activating the knowing mind. And we're going to talk about what happens when we activate the knowing mind. So big toes touch, knees wide or together. And then you will put your block or your fists, or maybe your forehead will connect with the mat and you will press and stay. Now, I like to think of this pressing on the forehead in child's pose as a way that we can return to calm. And calm, to me, and this idea of anxiety, crazy thoughts that we have of the what ifs in the future, so similar to a beautiful vase of water. So we pour the water in and it's clear and we're going about our life and all is well. And then anxiety comes in the form of a handful of sand. When we pour the handful of sand in the water, it becomes very muddy. We can't see through the water anymore. We're unsure. We have uncertainty, and that creates more anxiety. But if we set the vase aside and we let the sand sink to the bottom, in time, the water becomes clear again. But the more we try to move the vase around, try to manipulate the vase and put it in a different area of the house or do something different or carry it with us, the more it gets stirred up. Take a couple more breaths here. To come out of it, again, be very deliberate, very slow, and just come to a seat. Okay, so pressing into the forehead is letting the sand settle. Okay, it's getting rid of the thoughts, putting the thoughts aside, coming into the knowing I am safe, knowing I am healthy, I am strong, I'm on my way, I'm worthy. So we need to set the vase down sometimes. And we're just going to come into a twist. Don't need a block, don't need anything. I'm sitting this way, which I prefer to twist this way simply because my hip doesn't like to sit any other way. My legs are bent, my feet are to the left, and I am primarily sitting on my right cheek. You could also be just sitting in an easy cross-legged position, just crisscross applesauce. Sorry, my cat's very needy. Take your left hand and put it on your right knee. Bring your right hand behind you. Take a breath and then spin to the right. Take another breath. Spin more to the right. Take your torso to the right. Maybe the eyes follow. Now I want you to maybe consider a little mantra here. Breathing in, I am. Breathing out, calm. Breathing in, I am. Breathing out, calm. Now, what's really important to remember when we have a dish towel that we've cleaned our countertop with, we want to wring it out, or we've washed our face at the end of the day, we want to wring it out. What we're doing is we're twisting that towel, and all the yucky stuff is coming out of the towel, leaving us with a cleaner towel. Now, a twist is going to take all of the emotions in our body, the toxic, the negativity that get into the organs, that get into the spine, that get into our flesh, that helps make us feel sluggish, fatigued, tired, grumpy, unmotivated. Twisting nourishes the spine, invigorates the internal organs. When we come out of the twist, we feel a little bit of oomph, a little bit of brightness, and then we would go to the other side. So you would bring your legs to the right and you would twist to the left. You can also just do this in a seated position. You don't have to do anything with the legs. If you prefer, you can sit in hero's shape, twisting to the right, twisting to the left. It doesn't matter what the legs are doing. You're thinking about the spine. Now remember, twisting out some of that negativity. I like to finish my 5 poses for anxious thoughts with a twist because it's invigorating. It sets me in motion to be like, okay, now if I'm doing this at the end of a day, probably don't want to end with a twist. I would switch and end with legs up the wall or legs up the bed because that's going to be the most soothing and quieting for the nervous system. So that's my 5 favorite. They're easy to remember. Forward fold, spilling, legs up, whether it's in a chair or against a wall, rhythmic, cat and cow, finding that rocking sensation, bringing that sense of calm back into the body. It's a calm that we have all experienced in some version. Okay. And then child's pose, again, another spilling, another folding, but it's important to touch that quiet place in the brain that says no thinking, go inward to knowing, and then the twists to wring out anything that's left over. So there it is, my 5 favorite for anxious thoughts, anxious feelings. I got a whole bunch of these coming. I've got yoga for sleep, yoga for neck tension, yoga for shoulders, yoga for digestion, yoga for back pain, yoga for chronic pain, yoga for motivation, all the things. We've got a lot of things coming here that I'm planning on just doing these short and sweet little here's things to take with you as a tool. So please look out for those. Make sure you subscribe and hit that little notification because you will be getting a little ding dong bell. I'm going to be doing a summer series starting this week of June 16th, where we are going to be visiting in my garden. I'm opening it up to questions. We can talk about mindset coaching, meditation, yoga, grief, anger, weight loss, financial stuff, whatever you're struggling with. We can use the principles of yoga to put them into the area of our life that maybe we would want to be a little bit different. And using those principles, we can create our best life. So I'm going to open it up. Instead of doing recorded podcasts this summer, I'm going to just open it up. You're going to hang out with me. So brew some tea. The notification bell will come on. I'll be live. I'll also be recording them. So you'll find them in a playlist if you're not able to hop on when I'm on. And then we'll just figure it out. It might be random. It might be scheduled. I'm not quite sure yet, but I will be outside my beautiful garden. So be sure to watch for that. And also share these videos with people that you know want an approachable, down to earth practice. I'm not going to teach you ever how to stand on a head because it's not necessary. All right. Have a beautiful day and I'll see you soon. Bye.